everybody. We have to talk about something fairly serious today, which is that Infinity Nikki is adding more and more content, and not like as a joke, not like as a little side thing that you're not meant to interact with at all, but more and more content that would be appealing to the age range of maybe 5-year-olds. It is the content that you would see preschoolers mostly engaging with, and considering that this is a T for teen game, it makes me think that either Infold believes that women are at the mental capacity and age of a preschooler and has very low opinions on what adult women can actually do and achieve in life, or they do know that more underage people are playing this game than they should, that should not be legally allowed to be playing this game, but they're trying to appeal to this demographic in order to get them to spend their parents' money. Now, mind you, gotchas are no joke, especially when it comes to Infinity Nikki. There have been several posts from different people by this point that they had to delete the app, that they had to go to counseling, that they had to stop themselves otherwise from spending because they were accruing debt on their credit cards, because they couldn't control themselves. Infinity Nikki is a very expensive gacha and it is utilizing every single predatory mechanic that there is, making this effectively a casino, but in a different setting. It is a glorified bling casino, if you want to look at it this way. You have to go in knowing that, and casinos tend to be limited to only allow people that are 18 years of age and over. It is not the kind of thing that you would be advertising to children because their minds are not adapted to have that self control inbuilt, and they are a lot more likely to spend large amounts of money on these things. So the fact that Infinity Nikki is adding these little bits of things, it is not a good sign. Now, a lot of people inside the fandom have stated that those that are raising this complaint are overreacting and that this is just one singular item here and there. But honestly, to me, I am sorry, it looks quite a bit more than this. So let's start from patch 1.5. We have a seesaw that is also a daily. So you are encouraged to come along and use the seesaw every single day. It works like a seesaw. Furthermore, through daily currency, you can buy yourself a portable seesaw, something that you can play with wherever you want. This implies that the developer believes that this is engaging and appealing content. And you would think, well, maybe they just went with something that they knew wasn't engaging and appealing content, but they just kind of phoned it in because, deadlines and they needed to find something. But this keeps on happening and this keeps on going. The event that we had afterwards included getting a panda costume. I do not know why the panda costume had to come with a bib and a sippy cup. I understand that some people find age play dress up to be cute, but the kind of context that these things are presented in, considering the wider picture, I find them creepy and concerning. Fast forward to patch 1.6, you have a purchasable rocking horse on the storefront. It works like you would expect it to work. You sit on it and you rock on it. It is a rocking horse. And once again, it is a playground equipment. The fact that it is for sale on the store implies that the developer believes that people will find this kind of content engaging enough to purchase it, to pay for a virtual rocking horse that they will presumably sit on and rock on inside the game. Continue going. The makeup, that is purchasable makeup, once again, that we get for 1.6 patch, is adorable moments. It is finger paint makeup. It is the look that you get if a child has engaged in some sort of hands on activity like painting or clay or something along those lines, and they wiped their hands on their face. This is portrayed as cute, adorable. Then we have things like this, and this is how Infinity Nikki is advertised on their socials. This was something that they have been doing every single patch on their social media accounts, where they will put out connect the dot games that are so easy that no child above the age of elementary school will be engaged in it. I'm pretty sure you wouldn't give this to a 7-year-old. This is literally targeting the preschool demographic. And they have been doing this every single patch. There are laws against this, so this kind of behavior and this decision making is really baffling to me. Furthermore, this extends past just solitary items. Do you want to look at the kind of gameplay that I've encountered when I was playing through 1.6 patch? Which is my own problem to solve.
I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right, for the first one, watch my arms. Flap, flap.
Oh, god damn it. I'm playing charades with a guy that wants me to guess a chicken.
That flapping looks just like Luluco. Oh, it's a Barasant.
Great observation. That's correct. Now look at this. I'm hopping. Hop.
I got it. A big-eared creature that hops around. It's a blush bunny.
That's right. You know a lot about animals. Congrats! You guessed correctly both times in my charades quiz.
God, that felt like my intelligence was leaking out of my eyeballs. So that was my live reaction when I was playing through it. I did not expect this game to go this way, because it is something that they haven't been doing and haven't been leaning into like this until 1.5. There are storylines in this game that I would say are very much not child friendly and that go more in line with their age rating of T for teen. And, the thing that this is a gacha, which is effectively a gamified gambling app. It's not the kind of place where you would put in childish activities and childish mechanics trying to target children. Now, I have been considering that Infinity Nikki might just be very mean towards their audience. Like, CEO might not like us for some reason, and therefore all of this is being done in order to insult the audience. But the kind of hints that this event is giving me, I legitimately believe that they are stunting the development of the main character in order to appeal to children. I don't think that this is meant as an insult towards women. I do think that they are trying to actively go out of their way and target children for their gambling app. And if you're a mother, a father, if you have relatives that would allow their children to use such apps, please tell these people off. And please don't let any child near this app. This is a gambling app. You are gonna give your child an addiction. Don't do this. This isn't for children. This is not tagged as being for children. No matter how cutesy, infantilized, or age appropriate the content becomes, this is not something that you give to your toddler. This is not something that you give to your preschool child. This is not something that you give to your elementary school child. They are not supposed to be touching this game. Even if this becomes the new target audience, they are not supposed to be touching this game. I ask you people that you report this company to FTC, that you report this company to any kind of body that oversees trading in your country, because targeting gambling apps to children tends to be, well, illegal. So, what makes me say that they are actively trying to target children? Well, main character has more and more stunted personality and growth as time progresses. At first, when 1.0 launched, the intro makes it clear that Nikki is preparing to go to her high school graduation party. This puts Nikki's age at about 18 to 19, depending on whether she started school at 6 or 7 years old. This is your cusp of adulthood. This is the point where you legally are considered an adult. You go to university, you have your many firsts in your life. First time you're not being overseen by your parents. First time you can date freely. First time you can go out and celebrate your milestones out in the bigger life freely. You can get into dance clubs because you can legally be there. Nobody is overseeing your time. You are the one that has to make sure that you prepare for your university classes, that you do your work. You are sometimes even financially responsible for yourself, which is more and more common, where people will also have a part time job, and it is up to them to manage that responsibility alongside. They have the freedom that comes with being an adult, and they are learning to be an adult. As time progressed, that intro got changed, and currently that intro has been entirely overhauled. In Nikki's age is no longer being mentioned. Now, when this game came out, everybody praised it being asexual. People don't want sexuality to be in their face at all times. People don't want there to always be a love interest in the game, and it is refreshing when there isn't, when the focus is not on that. But the further we go, the more I question whether it is a sign of Nikki's stunted growth, because when we are seeing her hang out with characters, she either hangs out with non human characters, like the wishing sprite fairy things or the raggy, shaggy, sentient clothes people, or we see her hang out with children, like 5 to 10-year-olds at most. Do you do you remember yourself at 18, 19? Would you say that hanging out with 5, 7, 10-year-olds were as appealing to you? Would you say that this is where you wanted to go and to spend time? Because if I remember, the when you start hitting your mid to late teenage years, you start looking down upon younger people because they are not as mature as you. You are trying to prove your own independence. You are trying to prove your maturity. It is more likely for you to be attracted to older crowds, which is not necessarily a good thing, but it means that when we have content that is meant for teenagers, oftentimes the dream life that is being simulated is the life of young adulthood minus a lot of responsibilities. So you will see a lot of quite immature emotionally dramas take place inside a group of young adults that have that independence that you are yearning for so much, but none of the responsibilities that come with real life, because that is what is attractive. When you're 14, 15, 16, you are looking out at those older, slightly older people than you that are going out, that they're having parties, that are driving cars, that are sometimes drinking and smoking, because this is what you're associating with maturity and adulthood. You for sure are not looking at 5, 7, and 10-year olds and going, I want to hang out in the playground. I want to ride a rocking horse. I want to play hide and seek. When presented with a choice as to what group to try and hang around, you will most likely gravitate to either A, your own age range, or people that are just slightly older than you. That's that's about what you will consider to be cool. You won't really want to stand around the really like older adults because they will remind you of your parents and you will feel out of place. But you're also not going to be choosing to spend time with the young kids because they will feel immature and they will feel like they are taking away from the adulthood that you are yearning for rather than being something that you want to engage in and spend time in. Whenever there is a person that does desire that, chances are there are some things that I probably shouldn't be talking about, but normally it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does imply a bit of a stunted development where you do want to hang out with the children and you do want to hold on to your childhood because everything that was supposed to fire didn't quite fire right in your brain and you want to hang out and hold on to what is smaller and younger than you because that is where you feel like you're developmentally at. That is not necessarily a bad thing, but when you're making your protagonist in a video game that, some problems arise. Whenever Nikki has the chance, she is hanging out with children or non human characters. She is not really seeking the regular path to adulthood. As time goes on, her age gets erased and de emphasized. Why have I been sitting in front of this picture for so long? This is not my character, this is a different person's player character, this is a different person's Nikki. But the reason why I'm sitting in front of this character and in front of this screenshot is because something that story brings up in 1.6. When Nikki sees this man, she calls him an old man. This guy has no gray hairs. This guy has no wrinkles or any outward signs of aging. I would clock him at mid 20s on the lower end, mostly because the fact that he doesn't exhibit any signs of aging. And any person that I knew, they kind of started getting gray hairs at like maybe late 20s. Some people started getting gray hairs at like early 20s. So the fact that there's absolutely no sign of aging on this man tells me that he is on the either very lucky genetically or on the younger side. Now, he does have the full adult male figure. He is broad, his neck is broad, which I would more associate with the age range of 30 and above. So, with the lack of any obvious aging and with these broad manly features, if he is very, very, very genetically lucky, the oldest that I can clock him at is late 30s. You're not gonna look like this entering your 40s. You are gonna look so tired. Your skin starts to change. Your hair starts to change. To have none of that, this implies that this is not a very old character. But Nikki clocks him as an old man. You know when I clocked people in their mid 20s, 30s as old? When I was a child. I thought that they were yucky and I thought that they were pretty old when I was maybe 10. It was not something that I did when I was 18, 19. Perhaps this wasn't an age range that I was particularly attracted to because I was a younger adult than them, but I clocked myself as an adult and I clocked them as an adult. What is worse is that in the scene, as it progresses, this character clocks Nikki as a little girl, which is fine by Nikki. I don't know a singular 18 to 19-year-old that wouldn't take little girl as an insult. It is an active attack on their right to adulthood. And this is the age where they are entering adulthood, where they want to be independent, where they want to take on the life of an adult because they have finally went through the rite of passage, which is reaching the legal age, leaving their house, starting university, becoming independent from their parents, living with roommates, living separate from their family unit. It is a bit of a rite of passage to do all of that. And any person that hits that age and does those things, they don't want to be clocked as a little girl. They wouldn't be okay with you looking at them and saying little girl. But even just visually, it doesn't make sense. Nikki is scrawny. She is skinny and she is small, which makes sense either for somebody from a background where people do kind of look more smaller and petite, or it makes sense for a teenage figure that hasn't fully gone through the full transition to adulthood as you do broaden out. But Nikki doesn't have a preteen figure. She does have hips. She does have breasts. Sexy is a clothing type in this game. Nikki can dress in more revealing fashions. Nikki doesn't clock as a little girl, no matter how you look at it. The only reason why you would ever clock Nikki as a little girl is if you consciously know that this is a fantastical self insert for a little kid playing the game. So, in their mind, a man in his late 20s, gross, old. Nikki being called a little girl, fine, because that is what they are. A rocking horse, entertaining. Hanging out with little children, makes sense. That is the kind of mentality that you would need to insert and project upon Nikki for the newest patches to make sense. Now, mind you, this could be just this weird little period. This could be this like weird little festival period that doesn't come up in the gameplay ever again because we go on, we move on with the story. 2.0 comes and things are back to being more targeted for T for teen and older and not for preschool children. But considering that the only thing that we had in 1.0 was this, which is bad, and it gives you a hint, it gives you your first red flag, but it's easy to overlook because it's social media. And by 1.5, we are having a seesaw. By 1.6, we are having a rocking horse, Nikki hanging out with little children, calling dudes in their late 20s old men, and being okay with being called the little girl? That does not inspire confidence in where is this going. I genuinely believe that Infold is trying to advertise to little children. I genuinely believe that you should report Infold to any regulatory body in your country, because these are the kind of things that aren't allowed. These are the kind of things that aren't allowed in law, and I am very surprised that this is where they're going. So, if you have any thoughts about all of this, please tell me. Also, please forward this video and spread the message around, because honestly, this is gross. This is gross. This is creepy. This is exploitative. And this is definitely not how you should ever run a game. I can't believe that this is okay and accepted by so many people as if it is some version of normal. I am making at the very least one more video on Infinity Nikki in this patch cycle, and it is going to be a video about how Infinity Nikki could really benefit from a roadmap. If I knew what kind of content was up in front, if I knew generally what kind of themes they were gonna target, then this could be passed off as a one off. But the communication from developers about all of this in this game is very, very, very tight lipped. So when we are seeing a degeneration of the game patch after patch, it suggests that this is the new direction that they're going to be pursuing, and that this isn't just a one off. This isn't just a patch. This isn't just like a small little quirk. This isn't just somebody phoning it in. This is what they want to project. If I knew that this wasn't something that they want to project, I wouldn't be making such a grim and serious video right now. But from the things that I have right now, to interpret the situation that is out here right now, this is the only interpretation that I can provide. This is the only interpretation that makes sense to me. So this might not be true, and this might not be true in the future, but this is what it looks like, people. And it doesn't look good. Thank you for watching, and thank you for watching such a grim video. I don't like making very serious videos, but I feel like this is a very, very serious topic, especially if they are targeting little children. If you like content on this channel, please take a look at the rest of what this channel has to offer. And I would really appreciate if you subscribed, if this is what you find pleasing, and if this is what you find to be interesting. Thank you so, so much for my current subscribers. And thank you so, so much for my Patreons for giving me the freedom to explore the kind of video games that I want to explore, and to make videos on them freely as I desire, because this is kind of my gaming budget. So thank you so much for funding me. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for giving this video your time of day. And I hope I'm gonna see you in my other content. Toodaloo for now.